What's going on, my fellow MSF fanatics? It's your boy Ken, and today I'm bringing you guys a new addition to our War Counter series. Today we're talking X-Force, and let me tell you, X-Force is literally one of my favorite teams to use in War. I very rarely ever lose with this guys. They just do so many things right, and they can punch up tremendously, especially if you build them the right way, synergy-wise. Against a lot of meta War defense teams. They destroy Asgardians, they destroy shield teams, mercs teams. I mean, you name them, this team probably does wonder against them. But we're talking about one particular counter that they do really well against, just so that you guys can kind of see the turn order with them. We're talking about X-Force versus Emmarauders today. So one of the things that I want to mention is some of the T4s that I've done on my end. Of course, there's other T4s that I think would be ideal, but just so that you guys know, I've done the Lady Luck passive, which is the plus 25 chance to apply evade, and plus 10% crit damage for self and all X-Force allies. As you guys will see in a second, I really enjoy adding damage to this team. So I also have the T4 for Domino, for Negasonic, and for this one, plus 10% armor for self if the character has barrier, but then in War offense, plus 20% damage for self and all X-Force allies. And the last T4 that I've done so far on this team is the mutant weapon for X23, which is filling the speed bar by 20%, and then gain plus 20% focus for self, X-Force allies, and Wolverine. So the reason why I did the focus too is, as you guys can see, I don't necessarily have the most built up X-Force team right now, but even at the power level that they're at, man, do they do amazing things. So let's get into it. All right, guys, and before we get into the attack, this is a 242 X-Force team taking on a 313 Emmarauders team, where Strife is not necessarily the strongest character. Emma and Mr. Sinister are technically at gear 13 and the highest characters in this attack. But I can tell you guys that they definitely punch up tremendously against Emmarauders. So one thing to mention though is keep in mind when you're doing this attack, the turn order might actually change, or the attack order might actually change depending on what room you're taking on Emmarauders. For example, in Cargo Bay, you got additional random buffs, right? So it's something to keep in mind. It could possibly be that they spawn in with immunity, and I'm talking about Strife and Emmarauders. So that one thing to keep in mind before we take on this attack. So I'm gonna let it play out. But once again, ISOs on this team can also help out a little bit. I didn't talk about ISOs. Everybody does ISOs a little bit different on the next first, but for the most part, Raider is one of the biggest ISOs for this team because of all the crit damage. So I'm gonna pause it right here, first turn, so that you guys can see. So Negasonic is gonna be the first one to go every time for X-Force. And a lot of times what you really want to do with her is, especially in this case, they all spawn in with the defense up. So doing her ultimate will end up removing the defense up from the enemy team, just like that. Then you'll be able to apply heal block. So Domino, you really want to make sure that you use her ultimate, which is available right away on Strife right off the bat, because you want to be able to get rid of Emma as fast as possible. So as you're gonna see here, I'm gonna start targeting Strife, putting that disrupt in place. That additional focus that I did from X23's passives is just in case we end up going into a higher Strife down the line. If it was a gear 13, this, like I said, in this case, this Strife is actually not that strong, so the disrupt doesn't really even land. But just in case, if in the future, if you're finding yourself struggling to land that disrupted, that's one T4 that you might want to consider. All right, so once that disrupt happens, he tries to taunt. As you guys can see, the taunt doesn't happen. So my next move right here is going to be, with X23, it's going to be to go ahead and ability block Emma Frost. I don't want her to grant immunity to the rest of the team, clear all the heal blocks that are in place. So you want to be able to land this as well. And then from there on out, it's mayhem. It's all I'm going to say. It's mayhem. I definitely want to try and get rid of, like I said, Mr. Sinister and Emma are going to be my first targets. I'm not too concerned about the taunt here from Strife, because here, and two of them actually get deleted, because like I said, at this point it's just about X-Force doing X-Force things. X23 will always target the lowest health character. In this case, it was Sabretooth, but you want to put some damage into Emma, like I said, as soon as possible. So there again, I'm able to take with Negasonic the special, take the taunt out for Strife. And then at this point, I'm just going to try and put more damage on Emma. Get rid of Emma as soon as possible. And here we go. Once again, Sabretooth is the weakest one, so the special from Deadpool goes there. It's okay that actually Deadpool is the one that got The ult from Emma here. As you guys know, he revives with Domino in place. And here we go. We're now in the midst of Strife getting taunt and ability blocking some of our teams. But here goes Emma in a little bit. And down goes Frazier. Here we go, guys. Like I said, this team is wonderful. Never a sense of urgency in the sense of me having to change up my attacks. All of X-Force just survives in this attack. They are just an amazing team to take into war. And I'm going to showcase another attack right now. Okay, and for this one, it's actually a very small punch up. But once again, I just kind of want to show you guys that even as long as you're trying to follow the same kind of attack order and still put the Strife disrupt and also ability block on Emma, you should be just fine, even with things going south for a couple of your characters. So in this case in particular, as you guys can see, Mystique ends up actually keeping her defense up. And I still land the disrupted into Strife, and I also end up putting ability block into Emma. And then once that happens, in this case, Strife is right next to Emma. So I'm trying to actually, I don't mind the taunt. I'm trying to make sure that with this cable special, I add additional damage to Emma. She doesn't go down, but it's okay. She's still going to be my main target to take out. Between her and Mr. Sinister, I always try to take whichever one of those two I can as soon as possible. So Mr. Sinister actually gets his clone off in this one. Very different than the first attack. I also didn't have the T4 for Negasonic, I believe. But the clone already happened. So once the clones already happened, then I know that I get to shift gears and I just got to worry about Emma. So in this case, I actually took down Emma before I took down Sinister. Strife was the lowest health character at that point. He took a lot of the brunt of the damage, so he goes down next. Then the rest of my focus goes down onto Mr. Sinister. So as you guys can see, it becomes a pretty easy attack no matter what. I just want to showcase that things can go slightly different in depending on, of course, how much you're punching up against a particular team. But definitely you want to be able to take out both Emma and Mr. Sinister as soon as possible. So yeah, guys, this is another attack on X-Force, another one of our ward counter series. Hopefully you guys find this helpful. Once again, if you did, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Your boy also streams on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So hopefully I get to see you guys there. I will also continue to do this ward counter series. So if there's another series or another ward counter that you want me to kind of dissect and go over and what may be some of the important things for you guys to spot, please let me know. All right, guys, have a great one. Peace.